Hey everybody, it is Eric and it is Brian, and we are back from the Rust Belt GP in the state that looks like a mitten.
Nebraska!
Michigan. That's right, this race fell on Mother's Day. It has been Father's Day in the past at Gingerman. Mother's Day this time, and the team Koff V with their Honda Fit. We have seen them all over the country. They have team members in Washington and Kansas, and they came all the way to Michigan for Mother's Day.
Team Captain Eric brought his mom to race with him on Mother's Day in the Grimace Mazda 2, now in full McTuner spec. She had an awesome time.
Dog Days Racing had another really long tow from like way north Minnesota, and the team led by their team mom did a great Gingerman / gingerbread theme. Can't believe we've never seen that before.
In the space of a year, Dumpster Fire Motorsports has probably become one of the most recognizable and awesome lemon teams. They've added a second Impreza, which has a Forester engine and parts from 3 other rusty Subarus. Both cars, surprisingly, ran all weekend, which is very un-Subaru of them. Team Captain Liz also hosted the potluck, in addition to running 2 heaps and also yelling at her drivers occasionally. That's an impressive amount of badassery on Mother's Day.
It's a Lemons race. We had a ton of good themes. We will start with Here for the Beer Motorsports and their Mini Cooper. This year they added a new, let's say, vintage lawnmower to the fleet with a hayride trailer. The hayride / vintage mower kind of struggled up Gingerman's one hill, but once they got it sorted, it kind of became a Lemons public transportation system, which was amazing.
Madakrap's car was back in their second race, and again they came with their amazing Madagascar theme. They even had a recent high school graduate who we had to vouch for at the Barber race. They brought cake for the judges to share. They hauled it from Florida all the way. Whatever. It was good to see them back.
We had the return of DISG Racing, which the team corrected me on is supposed to be pronounced disgracing. And they were back with the Scotsman theme, complete with custom romance novels, and of course, a Ford Taurus that plays the bagpipes.
You want my body? I'm giving a taxi. Come on, baby, let me know.
The heel and toe failures showed up with another Scotsman theme. That's just like wearing the same dress to prom.
Well, you'll just have to go change. No, you're gonna have to go change.
It's probably legitimate racing, proved that themes are not hard. They just changed one single letter in the fast food chain Hardee's.
Shifty Shifting Racing showed up in their skunk-themed Saab dressed like skunks.
C'est true. Pepe, you are a pew.
Rum Ham Racing were rookies with a Miata doing an Austin Powers / Gold Member theme, but also / It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I guess these guys are smart enough to have thought of so many themes that they're doing 2 at once for each race.
God damn it, Frank. Eating your drinks? That is genius!
Situation no win. We haven't seen this team in a few years. They came back from unthemed to a full-on Clockwork Orange theme, complete with ultra-violence. Nothing torturous about a 15-year-old Volkswagen product is there.
Stop it, please, I beg you!
Wild Stallions Racing upgraded from their old oil-spewing Mercure to this oil-spewing Mustang GT, but they did a good trivia bit at BS inspection.
How many Fox Body Mustangs were sold throughout the production of one? Too many! At least 7. Blue! Oh, sorry.
I don't know.
And Big Skull Racing in their Jazz Cup themed Integra finished a race for the first time.
Our favorite rookies last year from Ontario, Buckle Up Buckaroo and their Chevy Cobalt SS were back with a third driver. This is, of course, the sad version of the Cobalt SS that just had the Malibu engine. No turbocharger, no supercharger. This one's got an automatic, an SS badge, and nothing else. Still, one of our favorite teams in Lemons. And on top of that, Car 609 learned the hard way that judges can be very cruel. When they racked up black flags, Judge Shelley made them follow the white Cobalt around the track for 20 minutes. And speaking of penalties, our esteemed judging panel was Brian Traynor, Randy Bish, and Shelley McKee, 3 excellent judges who had a lot of great penalties in order.
Sockeye Racing learned the hard way that Randy Bish might be an evil genius, or just plain evil, when he had them sort by color an entire box of Fruity Pebbles.
Now, this being a Midwest race, Mary Sealhorse sang a Lemon-specific song that recapped the weekend. Here are your class winners. And a couple words on them. The overall winner was Focus Club, who won with a Ford Focus, which is amazing. They're a bunch of locals. They finished runner-up a bunch of times. They have this weird Stockholm syndrome with the Focuses, and as we mentioned, they lent us a pace car for the weekend, which was this sweet SVT Focus. And your Class B winner was the Skunkworks Opel GT, which has a mid-mounted Audi V8 in it, and Team Captain Mike spent years building this thing. Debuted last year at Gingerman, won Class C in its second race at Road America, and then won Class B here, finishing 4th overall. Now, many years ago, Judge Phil declared a very wide loophole in Lemons, and he said, "You know, the Audi 4.2 is a great, terrible motor, and you can find them all day for $200. You know, you have to ask yourself, why would these engines be so cheap? All that aside, Mike listened to Judge Phil and started building this thing. And guess what? That loophole gets more narrow after someone has driven a crappy 280 horsepower Opel through it. And your Class C winners were Legendary, who won Class C with A car that can be milked.
I have nipples, Greg. Could you milk me?
And B, a car that is probably the last collection of first generation Acura Legend parts in the entire world.
Before we get to the heroic fix, there were a lot of seriously blown up cars at this race contending for heroic fix, and I got screwed. The Studebaker was back, and they had upgraded to a pushrod Studebaker 6. They did a Stubaroo theme with Subaru bros wearing their flannel and outdoor kit and all that. And so it happens, the seal on the brake booster failed. They didn't have the gasket, but they did have 2 sleeves. So they literally took the shirt off their back, ripped one of the sleeves off the flannel shirt, made the gasket with glue and witchcraft. And it worked all weekend.
Not E-Boys have been racing this Magic School Bus themed Civic for a while. They blew apart everything on this car. Clutch, ball joint, total steering failure, you know, a few other minor things. Apocalyptic Racing and their Ford Mustang, their V8 went apocalyptic. Just look at it.
Going nowhere, going nowhere.
Homefail Motorsports had parked their Ford Ranger over the winter, and when they got out on track, something smelled like it was burning after a few minutes of racing. Well, they discovered they had a mouse nest in their transmission bell housing. Oopsie poopsie. But the actual heroic fix went to Placeholder Racing, formerly known as Dumpster Fire Racing, in their great Mugatu Motors Zoolander theme, complete with gas fight and blue steel looks. They had a Ford Ranger swap because they saw the MGB GT guys from Michigan do it, and they thought it sounded like a good idea. And then they broke a whole lot of stuff. They started with needing to move their custom wing so they could reach their fuel filter. Then their front control arm broke, suspension collapsed, and a wheel fell off. But that didn't stop them. They were rising up.
Rising up.
They welded it back together, sent it back out. It lasted for a little while and then fell off again. But again, they weren't gonna stop. They were
rising up.
That lasted most of the day, but with about the last hour left, the back wheel came off. Do you think that would stop them? No. They're
rising up.
They got it swapped with some brute strength and some gritty determination and the eye of the something or other, and they just missed getting the checkered flag, but they did talk Dale into letting them come back around for the parade lap so they could get high fives from everybody. Nice job.
I Got Screwed went to Pacific Motors, which for the first time was a 2-car team. They had, of course, their Dodge Viper powered Rolls-Royce Silver Wraith, and a new car for Lemons, a Dodge Omni GLH that was originally begun by Bill Riley, pro race car builder. Now, Bill Riley never finished the Omni, but he did sell it to the Lemons famous Darko Stoyanovsky, who runs an exotic car dismantling business in Detroit, and Darko finished the car and brought it to the track. Now, before we talk about what happened, I think it's important to note that Darko brought a spare Dodge Viper engine, but despite being in Michigan, he did not somehow have a spare turbo Mopar engine. As far as the rolls go, the Viper engine had a rod that checked out all the way through the block on Friday. They spent about 36 hours putting the replacement engine in, patching up the oil pan, firing it up finally Saturday night at like midnight to discover there was zero oil pressure in it. Never turned a lap or even passed tech with the Rolls-Royce. As for the Omni, it got a little chilly overnight in May in Michigan and the block cracked. Darko decided to attempt a repair he'd seen on the internet.
Get set. We're riding on the internet.
How does this fix work? Well, you drill holes along the crack, you chase threads in the hole, and then you use something threaded, in this case iron plumbing plugs, to fill the hole, grind off the tops, and then do the same thing in between the plugs with new holes, and then you have a solid block. And guess what? It worked! The block stayed intact all weekend. So why was this not a heroic fix? Well, because the suspension broke repeatedly and they ran 43 laps getting towed in 3 times. Lots of ambition, lots of fixing attempts, not a lot of track time.
The special award for this race was called the Alleviating Michael Capuano's Fears. Now let's go back to 2008 and the GM bailout. There was this hearing about the money that they were giving him, and the hearing concluded with Representative Michael Capuano from Massachusetts telling the automakers that he wanted to help them out, but they had become extremely unpopular. And he said, and I quote, "My fear is that you're going to take this money and continue the same stupid decisions you've made for the last 25 years. So, what did GM take out of that? Well, in 2009, they unveiled this 260 horsepower version of the HHR for some god-forsaken reason. It was kinda fast, but stripped the teeth off third gear and had massive amounts of blow-by. I personally don't think Michael Capuano had anything to worry about.
Yeah, what's left? So we can fish out of it. At least. The little drain hole. I don't know. It's got to be a lot more. That's a show car transmission right there.
Judge's choice went to Endurance and their Scion TC, who are a team of engineering students from the University of Michigan. This is the future of American automakers. And they were collecting black flags like Pokemans.
Gotta catch 'em all! Gotta catch 'em all!
4-off, spins, blend lines, passes under yellow, contact, mechanical carnage, speeding the paddock. I think they checked off the entire bingo card. Bingo! Now that said, they were smiling and laughing the entire time, and we of course gave them the 7-legged race penalty on Saturday. And then Sunday, in the hour and a half before the quiet time, they managed to rack up a Bob Ross for good measure. As it turns out, this was a multinational team that had something other than Go Blue in common. Most of them had the same University of Michigan Python professor, Chuck Severance, who was driving the Sakai racing team Neon, who got the Fruity Pebbles penalty. I don't know, probably no correlation. But anyway, we got to know this team pretty great, and they are awesome. We can't wait for them to do better because they can't do a whole lot worse.
The org choice went to El Grande Racing. Now, if you're a circle track racer and you want to know what to bring to the track, bring Lemon's first ever Ford Granada. They pulled this thing out of the woods a mile or two down the road by some train tracks. It was wedged between a couple of trees. It still had the original Ford 250 straight 6. The automatic transmission was toast, so they put a T5 behind it, as one does. Now, they had some first race problems, namely showing up with literally 0 spare parts, so when the engine tossed a belt midday Saturday, they didn't have another one around, and in a surprising twist for Michigan, parts stores don't stock Ford 250 parts anymore. So they took a shoelace out of one of their shoes and measured the right belt length and figured out what they needed to run again. They had some overheating and brake problems, but this was an easy org choice. Bring cars like this, get trophies.
Halloween Meets Gasoline went to the Shank Redemption and their PT Cruiser, meaning that both the PT Cruiser and HHR SS's won trophies. That's a good weekend. It came with a butt drugs theme based on the commercials that have been going around for the now closed butt drug store in Corydon, Indiana.
Butt drugs won't let you down.
Free parking in the rear. I love butt drugs.
Now, Halloween Meets Gasoline goes to the team with the best theme, so let's tick the boxes here. Terrible car, team who re-themes after every single race, roof-mounted object, and a team dealing butt drugs surreptitiously around the paddock. That's how you do it. Well done.
And finally, the IOE goes to Cross Thread Racing in their Volvo 244. Now this looks like a pretty basic Volvo 240 sedan, so what makes this an IOE?
I don't know.
The team have had this car for a decade or so, racing it every once in a while when their Camaro needs a rest. Well, last year, they decided that they really loved the Volvo, so they threw a second seat in it, then took it on a Lemons rally. Beyond that, they started driving the Volvo on the street, and, for good measure, drove it from Indiana to its last 3 races in Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and this one in Gingerman, Michigan. In the last year, they put something like 10,000 miles on it, including 3 races where it had just run. It just keeps affluencing its Swedish gold and blue livery and finished in the top 20 with one of the 10th slowest laps. A multi-purpose Lemons car? That's a great way to win IOE.
And this is a great Lemons in a nutshell.
I'll wake up tomorrow, my dreams turned into sorrow. Boo-hoo-hoo, I'm a loser again. Sing it with me. Boo-hoo-hoo, I'm a loser again.
Every second you don't subscribe or watch one of these videos, another Vega is sent to the crusher. Won't you help us save Classic?